Meeting for the Community Redevelopment and Housing Commission. Today is September 25th, 2019. Can I have Miguel lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Recording Secretary, can you please take roll call?
Commissioner Aguinaga? Present. Commissioner Calderon?
Here.
Commissioner Garcia? Commissioner Perez?
Present.
Vice Chair Santana?
Present.
Commissioner Tardif?
Present.
Commissioner Sanchez?
Present.
Commissioner Frazier?
Present.
Thank you. We have quorum.
Thank you, Recording Secretary. Seeing a quorum, this meeting is officially called to order. This is a time for Commission to consider matters under consent calendar, items 1 through 2. Do any members have any corrections to the minutes and items they wish to pull for a separate discussion or abstain on? Seeing none, do I have a motion to consider items 1 through 2?
I make a motion to consider.
I have a motion from Ceci. Can I get a second?
I second.
Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Vice Chair, excuse me, I'll be abstaining for that since I wasn't present for the meeting. But
You
I
got
did,
Mike
I did watch it on I did watch it on video. You guys did a great job.
Also, I'll be abstaining as well since I wasn't present.
Okay. Is that recorded? Okay, so I got a second from Ms. Aguinaga. I got the motion.
I gave a motion.
Who was the second? Jim second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Matter approved by, let me see, 1, 2, 5, 2, right? 5, 2.
Do I need to abstain because I'm not here?
You missed this, so it's okay.
Yes.
You're coming in now.
Okay.
And just for the record, Madam Clerk, can we, for the record, reflect that Monica is present in this meeting at 4:33 p.m.? Thank you. Moving on to business calendar. We will now consider matters under business calendar. The first item on the business calendar is item number 3, which is election of officers for the Community Redevelopment and Housing Commission for the term year of 2019 through 2020 term. Will staff please report on this matter?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Staff does not have a report on this item.
Okay. At this time, does the commission have any questions or comment? I'm going to start on my right-hand side. Any commissioners on my right have any questions or comments on this item?
No.
Vice Chair Santana, are these are questions about the vote that's going to take place, or are we at this time nominating individuals for positions?
At this point, we're asking for comments and concerns. I know there were some concerns, and it's a perfect opportunity for our fellow commissioners to address city staff with those concerns. Miguel, do you have any questions?
No, I'm good for right now.
Perfect. And then Mr. Vince?
Yes, actually, I was kind of curious. So we voted for chair and vice chair previous 2 meetings ago. Is this, what's going on? Because I missed the last meeting, I guess.
Thank you, Commissioner Frazier. So the former chair of the commission, Ursuri Ramos, the council member who appointed her, her term ended, and Commissioner Calderon was appointed in her place, and therefore that left a vacancy for our chair position, and therefore staff are bringing forward this recommended action for the commission to elect a new chair in her place.
Okay, and the bylaws don't say anything to the effect of the vice chair taking over for the chair or anything? I haven't.
No, the bylaws are silent on that.
Okay.
That respect.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Well, I think if I could comment on that, I think it's appropriate for the vice chair to take over this meeting, to chair this meeting, and then we can select who we want in the future to be the chair and vice chair, whatever other positions we're going to have. So I don't think we're out of order, are we, Judge Zender?
No,
Right.
that's exactly, in the absence of a chair, the vice chair serves the chair for the meeting for that day.
Thank you.
Let me start. Thank you. Student? Nope. Sorry. Mr. Perez? Ms. Garcia?
Commissioner Frazier asked the questions I had already, so.
Fantastic. And then I think what I have to say about this item is, would it be possible to have a copy of those bylaws in every meeting that we have here? Just so that our fellow commissioners can actually reference and look through those bylaws if we have any questions.
I just want to, I also would ask our commissioners if you have any questions. I know Mr. Justin provided me those bylaws. I did ask for them, and I did have a copy of them. So I will also say, on us, the staff is always there to support and help in any way. So if you guys feel you want to reach out, please let them know. I know he reached out within 10 minutes, providing me the bylaws. So.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. Okay. At this moment, is there any members of the public that would like to speak on this matter? If so, you need to fill out a request to speak form with the recording secretary. You have 3 minutes to speak. Also, we will not accept any additional requests to speak cards once we begin the process of public comment session. If you haven't already done so, please give us the form to the recording secretary. Seeing none. Okay, do we have a motion to approve item number 3, the election of office for the Community Redevelopment and Housing Commission for the year of 2019-2020?
Mr. Vice Chair.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Vice Chairman, we would actually need the commission to elect a chairperson.
Okay.
As part of this item.
So then we're going to open it to nomination, correct?
Yes.
Will we begin with the chair position?
You would begin with the chair position. Now, if you as the vice chair are nominated as the chair and voted upon by the commission, then we would need to open up the nominations for the vice chair position.
Thank you. Okay, so let's open for nominations for the 2019-2020 term for chair.
I nominate Commissioner Richard Santana as chair of the Community Redevelopment and Housing Commission
Okay, is there
for,
any
for
other-
2019-2020. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Tardif. Is there any nominations for chair?
I support that nomination.
Okay, so I have a motion, a second. I'm going to call to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion passes. That was for the chair.
Oh, the chair, okay.
The chair. Now we move to vice chair, correct? Okay.
Yes, now there is vacancy in our vice chair position.
Perfect. So at this moment, I'm opening,
I nominate Cecilia for vice chair position.
Thank you, Commissioner Perez. I accept the nomination.
Okay, that next, okay. Is there anyone else who wants to nominate for vice chair?
As a note, I will second that nomination if that's appropriate.
Okay. Can I get a second?
I'll second the motion.
Second by Ms. Garcia. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Fantastic. Congratulations, Ms. Aguinaga, on your appointment vice chair.
Mr. President.
Thank you. Okay. The second item on the business calendar is item number 4. It's the appointment of a representative to the Historic Resource Commission for the year of 2019 through 2020 term. Will staff please report on this matter?
Staff do not have anything to report on this item.
Okay. Does the commission have any questions for staff? Ms. Aguinaga?
I don't have any questions. I would like to nominate Mike Tardif for this
Right now, we're
position.
just doing questions.
Oh,
opening
we're
for
not doing the
questions.
nomination?
Not just yet. That's the next.
Oh,
Mr. Frazier?
no question.
I don't have any questions.
What are the realistic time investment for this position? What's the realistic, how many meetings per month? What's the expectation for
If
whoever
I
fills
may,
that?
I have a notation from the recording secretary, and the meetings are held quarterly, January, April, July, and October. And the next meeting that will be held is next month on Thursday at 4:30, which is the October 3rd. So they meet quarterly, and then the one in January, it will be a special meeting that will be on January 23rd.
And I have been on that commission in the past, Vince, and just to add a little bit to that, there are several special meetings that take place to nominate people for the historic register. And then also, it's good if you can visit the homes that are nominated for registration, and that takes a little bit of time as well.
Thank you.
I'm gonna open it to my left-hand side, Mrs. Sanchez. Any comments, concerns?
No.
Ms. Perez?
Negative.
And Ms. Garcia?
No comments.
No comments. Okay, so we have a motion, a nomination for Mr. Mike Tardif,
I second that.
second by Mr. Perez. We're gonna take it for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Item passes 6-0. We don't count the zero, correct? So 6-0.
Thank you, fellow commissioners.
Okay. Great. The third item on the business calendar is item number 5. It's a nonprofit community development block grant application fiscal year 2020 through 2022. Will staff please report on this matter?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Staff do have a report on this matter. We are, this item is a very important item for our forthcoming allocation process of the public service funds. We are following up on direction that was provided by the Commission at our March 7th, 2019 meeting. And I'd like to invite Ms. Mikkel Daly, our Community Development Analyst, to present on this item.
Okay, so we are requesting that the Commission approve the Community Development Block Grant application and scoring criteria as recommended by the Ad Hoc Committee and forward it to the City Council for consideration. The Ad Hoc Committee, at the Commission meeting on August 20th, it was decided that the Ad Hoc Committee, made up of Commissioners Perez, Garcia, and Ursua, and 2 staff members, would form the Ad Hoc Committee and review the application and create a rating criteria. So they met twice, on August 26th and September 3rd, and came up with what we think is a very good rating criteria and improvements to the application, and additionally recommended 3 items: that the nonprofit application for the CDBG program be a 2-year application. Also, that the Ad Hoc Committee review and score the nonprofit CDB application on behalf of the Commission and make funding recommendations to the Commission and the City Council. And then thirdly, directed staff to facilitate a study session of the city's funding priorities and strategic plan goals after the 5-year consolidated plan is completed, which would be this year in May. So that means that our expected allocation for the 2-year funding cycle would be $1,700,010,346. So it's basically, we came up with that based on last year's allocation, doubling it because it's going to be a 2-year grant cycle. This changes the minimums in the application to $60,000 and the maximum to $150,000, and that's basically because it's a 2-year application. Instead of $30,000 for 1 year, they're going to get double that amount. The review of the applications and recommendations for funding will be performed by 3 Commission Ad Hoc Committee members. Since Commissioner Ursua is no longer with us, we will need a 3rd commissioner to sit on the Ad Hoc Committee before the rating of the applications starts, and also 1 staff representative. Just a little detail on the process. So the recommendations from the Ad Hoc Committee will come back to the CRHC for review and approval. So all of the Commission are able to participate in the decisions on the applications. The Ad Hoc Committee is just the committee that's rating the applications. And then also all of the nonprofits that come in and speak in front of the commissioners we'll do it in front of the entire commission panel, not just the ad hoc committee. So there will be participation of the full commission in this process. We're expecting to release the application in November. It'll be due by December 16th, and hope to have decisions by January 17th for reviewing and scoring. And then in January, the nonprofits will be coming in and doing their nonprofit presentations. Okay, I think I've gone through it. The other dates are inside the staff report if you have any questions.
Before questions are asked, because I also think what's key and critical is that this commission really, in my opinion, was very proactive in really taking a look at our CDBG funding and making we're aligned to best practices. And I think that was the key element. As we looked at other cities, we looked at other organizations. I really applaud the hard work that city staff did, providing the subcommittee, which myself, Monica, and Anna, which was on the committee, took a look at, did a lot of research. I think this really aligns us to those best practice models that are key and critical as we're looking at funds that are being released from our city into our community. And I love the piece that also the nonprofits will still present to our entire committee, but it really allows the subcommittee to dig down and ask questions. And I know sometimes we struggled as we were kind of taking a look at that process. So I think this process, again, 3 commissioners sat on the committee, put the recommendations forward. I just think this is really an awesome opportunity for us to really strengthen and hold accountable, measured, and outcome specifically as we're looking at grant funds.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. Does the commission have any questions for staff on this matter?
Actually, I have questions. So in a situation like this where the organization where I work for receives CDBG funds, will I be able to have a say in the who gets like the funds for the nonprofits, or what happens there? Is it a conflict of interest?
I would think a conflict of interest would be referred to City Council.
Yeah, we typically analyze that on a case-by-case basis. So when we get to that point, and if your employer is submitting an application, then we will look and make that determination at that time. But we have had situations where people or commissioners have had to recuse themselves in that situation.
Okay, thank you.
Traditionally, so to point number 2, where the approval to have the ad hoc committee review and score the nonprofit CDBG applications on behalf of the commission, who did that reside with prior to this decision?
The entire commission. That was the recommendation from this committee.
So this is moving the applications completely over to this ad hoc committee.
So yes and no. What it did, it provided the ad hoc committee the opportunity to look at specifically each grant and score it with rigor.
Okay.
And I think that's the key thing here is with rigor.
Yeah.
Previously, before, and with all due respect, and if you look at our bullet point number 3, directs staff to facilitate study sessions. Because there's so many grants that came our way, to really look at the rigor and to provide a true assessment on what a score is, a 5 to a 4, and what that meant, we really wanted to make sure that we aligned with best practices. Right. So historically, best practices in grant applications from an RFA for an RFP, that process is a select number of individuals that have the rigor to score it. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that your voice is not heard. Your voice is still part of the process. The subcommittee will bring it back to the entire committee, and the entire commission then will make that recommendation. And so if you were asked specifically, how did this get scored and what was the reason, you'd be able to understand through the rubric and the rigor of that scoring mechanism.
But as far as the fundamental calculations, that's being left to the ad hoc
committee.
Sort
correct.
Through that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And there is a little bit of collaboration also with city staff.
That makes total and complete sense. I totally agree with that. So if we're looking for persons to, say, replace people who may have been on that ad hoc committee, because it sounds like that ad hoc committee is going to pop in and out.
Yes,
necessary.
My recommendation, let's move this forward, because I know Monica's going to have a conversation, so it's going to be multiple things to look at. So I think the first thing we want to do is move this forward, and then we'll take a look at the second, because yes, we have an ad hoc person that's not on there, and there might be movement within, even in the committee, so.
And I do have a
I agree as staff in moving the action forward and then appointing the ad hoc committee members.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. And Ms. Blanca?
Yes, so I did want to add that it was a great opportunity for us to reshape this process, and we did take into account everybody's comments at other meetings about this process, and we incorporated that feedback into reshaping this and also listening to the staff with all the background information they provided. And again, you're still going to be able to provide input as to the organizations we vet for you. If you disagree, we can talk about it and redesignate if we need to. But I did want to add that at the time when I did accept the role to be part of this ad hoc committee, I did not know about this timeline for the meetings and everything. So they're really aggressive, and I won't be able to participate at that point. So I would ask that if there's another commissioner that's interested in participating, please.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Any other comments, concerns? Mr. Tardif?
I have none.
Sanchez?
No question.
Okay. Is there any member?
I think when we move to the nominations, we can do self-nomination.
May I ask something?
Yes, Ms. Let's just, sure.
What is the commitment that we have to, tell me again, the commitment?
It's page 5-3. There's an outline of dates and actions, and that's the commitment. So,
Sorry, do you need clarification on the meeting date? 'Cause
Yes.
there was-
So real quickly, if you look at the dates here, November 4th is when the RFA gets released. December 16th is when the RFAs are done to city staff. City staff embeds it, actually goes through the procedure and protocol to make sure that they meet all the criterias. Staff and Community Redevelopment Housing Committee will review and score. There's a month time frame for that review and score, okay? Because it takes time and energy and getting together, so there's some time. Now, at the same time, on the 7th and 9th is when we have our special meeting. They come back in front of all of us, have conversations and discussions, and it really allows us and also the subcommittee to ask questions that the application necessarily did not get across. And I think those are key and critical. It gives us an opportunity for all of us to hear that information. The then special ad hoc committee will reconvene, and then on January 12th, we need to finalize, deliberate the scores, and move the process back to the commission. And it comes back to the commission, it looks like on the 28th, so then we can hurry up and get it to city council by February 18th. So all these dates doesn't mean that the subcommittee is part of it. City staff is moving the whole process.
Any questions? Okay. Is there any member of the public that would like to speak on this matter? If so, you need to fill out a request to speak form with the recording secretary. You have 3 minutes to speak. Also, will not accept any additional requests to speak cards once we have begun the public comment. If you haven't already done so, please give your comment card to the recording secretary. Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve item number 5, the nonprofit community redevelopment block grant application for fiscal year 2020 through 2022?
I will.
Okay, got a motion from Ceci. Can I get a second?
I second the motion.
Second from Ms. Garcia. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those, any opposed? Nope, matter moves 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, if we may ask now for you to request volunteers for the ad hoc committee that will be representing the commission for this process.
That would be 2 seats, correct? Because from my understanding, Ms. Garcia is stepping down from this position.
Yes. So we understand that it's a whole new ad hoc committee that you're appointing. So let's assume
And
that
how
the
many
ad
folks-
hoc
how many
committee that
members
just
make part
went
of
through
this
this
ad hoc?
process is now dissolved, and now you're appointing a whole new ad hoc committee for this.
And how many
process.
members can be appointed to
That
this
wasn't,
committee?
hold on.
No, it doesn't mean that you can't continue to be.
No,
on
yeah,
the
I understand that, but that wasn't the conversation and discussion that we discussed. I know it doesn't matter, it can move forward, but that was not the conversation that we had, but that's okay. I mean,
Was it
it's,
I can provide some clarification on that though, because the ad hoc committee that was first appointed, the intent, the purpose of that ad hoc committee was for review of the application. And so that has been completed now, which is why technically a new ad hoc committee needs to be created.
Perfect.
For the new purpose.
That
Excellent.
way it doesn't trigger the Brown Act, because it's time limited, you know, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just going back to my question, how many members can be appointed to the ad hoc committee?
So the commission
Three.
just voted
There's
on
three.
the ad hoc committee to be 3 members.
3 members. So, so that last ad hoc dissolved. Now we need 3 additional new members, correct?
You need three commission members to be on this new ad hoc committee.
Okay. I make a recommendation for Mr. Frazier, Mr. Perez.
I accept.
Thank you. Can I get?
I make a nomination for Mr. Santana.
I accept. We get one more. Anyone want Mr. Calderon? So it's like we're gonna go to a vote because we.
And
have
then
now
Mr.
4.
Frazier.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to throw my hat in the ring if you'll accept self-nomination.
So what I will do is I'll decline mine.
Well, hold on that.
So if I may, so two items on the current nomination. So Commissioner Perez and Santana, no issues there. With Commissioner Frazier, which is we've always addressed this issue every year these past 2 years, right? Is that the tenant commissioner doesn't have you're not able to score the applications. You're an advisory only to the commission, because this is not specifically a housing related item. And so, being on this ad hoc committee, you wouldn't be able to score, which is the purpose of this ad hoc committee.
Okay.
Right, because last year, you remember last year?
Yeah, and I thought we were making some movement on figuring that out, because because CDBG, there's not anything on those that I don't vote on. I'm not allowed to score, but I've been allowed to vote for the last 2 years on those as they come through and be a participant in that process. So I guess there's still a lot of gray area as to what really defines that capacity.
Yeah, I mean, as the tenant commissioner, you are a voting member of the commission on housing-related items. So I know that the first year we were involved, it was a new position that we were taking on, and we were a little late in kind of making that realization. And so I think you participated that first year. By the second year, it kind of came to our realization that you are only supposed to be a voting member for the housing items. CDBG is not a housing-specific item.
Right.
So you were invited to participate still in listening to the presentations and whatnot, but you were not going to be scoring or voting on the items, was my understanding. And so, since you're not a voting member of the commission for CDBG purposes, it would probably affect your ability to serve on this ad hoc.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah, sorry about that, to inform you of that information. And then for Commissioner Calderon, you did indicate at the very outset that it's possible that you might have a conflict of interest. So just keeping that in mind, because if you go through this entire process and then you come to find out that your organization did apply for funds and that you have a conflict of interest, then we would need another ad hoc committee member appointed to score on your behalf.
Do you think there will be a conflict?
I don't think so, because he's funded through not through CDBG money, but through another grant. They'd be the recipients of the grant, but he wouldn't be paid for it. Is that my understanding? If he were to get monetarily compensated through CDBG, that it's a conflict? Can you expand?
Yeah, essentially you can't have any kind of monetary gain, and the analysis that's been done before is that if you're getting paid by an employer who receives those CDBG funds, there's that potential connection between your your own personal compensation, and that's where the conflict lies. Again, this is why we look at it on a case-by-case basis instead of having just a general
And I
guideline
think
rule
our
on it.
case is unique because we have different funding sources, and so with the money that we use for Summer Night Lights or Madison Park, it goes to pay other stuff, but not necessarily his
It's
position as in with MP&A Green.
I'm included in there. It's better if I just.
Okay, I appreciate, you know, the ethics and so forth. Cecilia, would you be interested?
Yes, somebody has to do it.
So right now we have a motion of Mr. Perez, Santana, and Mr. Aguinaga. Anyone else wants to jump in or wants to name it? Okay. So
May I say something? We never have an ad hoc committee. It was not in place. We were just fine like that, but then we start doing that, right? The ad hoc.
The ad hoc, we
When-
established the ad hoc at our last
Rafa
meeting.
was in it,
Yeah.
and, you know, and the other.
we're gonna move the item forward. So
Yep.
if I can get a second.
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Tardif. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. The fourth item on the business calendar is item number 6, to appoint a commissioner to the Orange County Emergency Solution Grant Collaborative Committee for the fiscal year of 2020, 2021. Will staff please report on this matter?
Yes, I'd like to invite our senior community development analyst, Ms. Terry Eggers, to discuss and present on this item.
Thank you, Ms. Eggers.
Good afternoon. We are going to be releasing an application on November 8th, so it's going to be very similar to the CDBG timeline. And we are requesting one commissioner to sit on that review panel. The collaborative will include the cities of Anaheim, Garden Grove, the County of Orange, and City of Santa Ana. And then the City of Irvine is just kind of watching. They're not really participating. We have the applications being released on November 8th, being submitted by December 10th. We already know that we will be meeting on January 21st to go over the applications and to rank them together, and we're looking at interviews around the 28th of January. That's tentative. So consider your schedules in relationship to the CDBG. It is an interesting process that we go through, and while we are working together as a collaborative with our other cities, it's something that we've done to make it easier for our nonprofits and easier for us. However, the final decision is always with that city. So if the City of Garden Grove wants and ranks someone really high, that doesn't have any bearing on what the City of Santa Ana is going to do. It's just going to be for the fact that we are looking at all of those together, and we will be interviewing everyone together. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have in regards to our process.
Yeah, I actually have, because I think Jim and myself have been very active with the homeless outreach, and as well as the link and the shelters. And ESG is something that's always piqued my interest, because I feel that as a commission, it's something that we have not really been well informed of, because a lot of money is going to the link and services. I actually would have loved to have seen Ms. Hafsa here to help us understand more about the funds, because I know that the money that we allocate goes to not Wise Place, but Mercy House. Is that correct, sir?
So we currently receive just under $500,000 each year, and we are able to utilize it in the categories identified by HUD. Those categories are homeless prevention, rapid rehousing, shelter, street outreach, and then data. So we have to work under the auspices of HUD. We can't go out and do something different. For the first time this year, we are providing funding to the link, because we have not had that in the past.
Is that the black money?
I'm sorry?
The last year fiscal money
Our
that's being
current
carried
fiscal
over?
year money. So 1920 funding, we are giving $200,000 to the link.
I thought $1 million was going in.
So those are different funds.
Okay.
So these are just ESG funds, HUD funds. The majority of our dollars are coming from inclusionary for the link. But so this is just a small amount going to the link. But we have funded Mercy House in the past, and they are the operators of the link. There's a small group of organizations that really deal with homelessness in Orange County. So we're really typically seeing the same organizations that come. It's not as complicated as a process of CDBG because they're only nonprofits that can deal with homelessness. So we're not getting the after-school tutoring and then the seniors and, where you're mixed as to what we should do. So it's only for homelessness.
I don't want to stray off too much because I want to, nominate someone for this position, but I still feel that, direct city staff to please give us a better understanding of ESG and how much money is going to the link and services that are being provided. Because I think we are approaching our 1-year anniversary, correct? Or have we hit that 1-year anniversary for the link?
For the link,
Yeah.
in November, right? Yeah, so 1 year in November.
Okay. Any questions, concern on my right-hand side with Ms. Aguinaga? Mr. Calderon? Mr. Frazier?
So just for my clarification, where do I stand on being able to support this?
This is
As a tenant representative.
directly housing-related item.
Okay, so that means that I could potentially step up for this?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Do you wish to nominate yourself, Mr. Frazier?
I do.
Okay, I see one nomination. To my left, Ms. Sanchez. Comments, questions, concerns? Mr. Tardif?
I'm sorry, did you say you're accepting nominations? You're looking for nominations?
Yeah, for what? For the emergency?
Marion,
He's asking for.
I thought I heard Vince say that he
Vince is
nominated.
nominating himself.
Okay, so you're accepting nominations for that position now?
It's still open for if anyone wants to nominate someone or ask city staff a question.
I believe that Jim Perez is interested too, so he can figure it out. We really need somebody in the
So I
Can we
got-
divide this process into asking questions and then voting like we did on the other ones?
Perfect. So I apologize. Let's take it back to comments, concern for city staff, and then we'll go ahead and open it for nominations. Thank you, Mr. Tardif. Questions, comments, concerns? We had a comment, concern that was answered. Any comments, concern on this side? Mr. Perez, Ms. Garcia? Great. Okay, so for nomination, let me go back here. Okay, is there any member of the public that would like to speak on this matter? Could we close it here and then we go to public and then we go for the vote, correct? We had city staff report back.
Yeah.
The commission didn't have any question or comments. Then we opened it to the public, correct? Then we
Yeah.
go for the vote.
In terms of that, the opening it up to the public for each item, I think that's repetitive in the script.
It's on my script, so I just want to make sure that
you
I'm
just
compliant.
read it. That's okay.
Okay. So I'm just gonna skip that part and then go to the motion, correct? Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve item number 6 to appoint a commissioner to the Orange County Emergency Shelter Grant Collaborative Committee for the fiscal year 2020 through 2021?
So you're asking for nominations now?
No, I'm
No.
asking for,
Yes, you are.
Yes,
asking
I'm
for-
sorry.
you-
Yes, I am.
Yes, you are asking for nominations.
yes. Does anyone, want to appoint someone to the commission?
I would nominate Jim Perez.
Okay, got a nomination, Mr. Jim Perez. Is there any other nominations?
I second.
Still opening for nominations?
I was gonna say, I'll self-nominate.
You got Mr. Perez and I got Mr. Frazier. So then we go to, it's not a runoff, right? So,
You take a vote for each nomination.
perfect. We'll start with Mr. Perez.
You can do, just for ease,
The vote-
you can
it's
do a
always been
roll
an
call
issue with
vote
voting.
and just go commissioner by commissioner and have them say
That's
one or
fine.
the other.
All right, I'm gonna do a roll call vote, starting my right. Ms. Aguinar, who do you vote for? Who do you vote for the record?
I like both.
I know, but it's a roll call vote, so,
Can they say something about why they want the position?
Yes, I mean, usually we ask for volunteer, and then they he volunteer and he's volunteer. So.
So we'll take it back. We'll give the commissioners
Discussion.
2 minutes to talk about why they would want to serve on this capacity. I'll start with Mr. Frazier.
Okay. I really just think it'd be a great opportunity for me to dive a little bit further into some of the housing issues that are facing the city and facing the people that I'm supposed to be representing. I don't have the breadth of education and experience that Mr. Perez does, and if that's something that's needed in this position, then I fully abdicate that. But I would like the opportunity to be able to have a little bit more skin in the game.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. And Mr. Perez.
You know, I'm struggling a little bit because I actually think Mr. Frazier would be a huge asset to this, and I think having residents in the process is so key and critical. And I love the work that he's been doing, and I love the fresh breath of Miguel trying to step up and be on a committee. I'm actually new as well, and I've only been on about a little bit past 6 months now. I happen to be an administrator for the County Office of Education, overseeing grants and development for many years. So this is something that's really dear to my heart, something in my wheelhouse, something that I do. I'm struggling in the sense because I also think this is a great opportunity for you to be on it. Me being new as well and trying to grab as much knowledge and depth of the work and to support city staff is kind of my struggle. Is like, I'm also here to serve, and as I serve is really to work with city staff to really try to understand, you know, these funds and, you know, how they're utilized. And, you know, when you're in a grant process and you're reading other grants and you're getting all that literature, to me it's just an opportunity that I actually can't stand back on. But I really love the fact that we have commissioners wanting to step up, wanting to be involved. Is there a process where, is it only one, or is there a process where, since we actually have a resident on our commission, could he be part of that process? Because I think that learning is so key and critical. So that's kind of where I would ask, is there a chance where someone, you know, I know Irvine's going to be there just to observe, you know, as well. I'm just trying to, you know, have this, you know, melting pot come together.
Commissioner Frazier, have you ever been homeless by any chance?
I have.
You have?
I have.
Okay.
I actually got linked up with Mercy House through that process.
Okay. We actually, it's a HUD requirement to have one individual on the committee that is homeless. And
is or was?
I'm sorry, was. It does have that experience.
I'm not going down that road. Thank you.
We still have housing for you.
One of the commissioners from the city of Anaheim had been previously homeless, and we were inquiring about that today, if that was going to be the same commissioner that was going to be sitting on the committee, and they said that they weren't 100% sure. So there may be an opportunity. I guess I can just say that. I can throw it back out to the collaborative. There may be an opportunity that we could have two, or that we should have Commissioner Frazier.
Well, and I think it's just a great opportunity. And I think that learning, you know, opportunity. And again, I would say, I just feel it's going to be such a great opportunity to grasp and learn, and also see what other cities are doing and being able to bring that, you know, best practices back in. So it would be great. So
I think the one thing I would want to make sure is that we are consistent with the other cities. So I wouldn't want to show up with two commissioners while all the other cities are only doing one. So,
oh, we are Santa Ana, though. You know, we roll. You know, we're all deep.
We set the standards. We don't abide by them.
But I don't. You know, whatever your process is, you can take the vote, and then I can always receive additional information back from the collaborative and get back with you and report back out at your next meeting as well.
Ms. Terry, is there an alternate, just in case, let's say, in the absence of Mr. Perez?
That would be great to have an alternate,
Okay.
so that we always make sure that we do have one individual on the committee.
And is there any necessity for us to appoint this person today contingent upon additional information coming in? Can we wait to get information from you about the positions and then bring it to a vote?
We could re-agendize it, I suppose, as long as you know that the dates.
Yeah, I was going to say, though, I mean, we're talking about a release date of November 8th. So,
okay.
we're going to have to research, we're going to have to read the RFA, understand it and know it. So, I would caution us, I think unfortunate.
I think if we can make an amendment by saying that maybe Mr. Perez be nominated and you become the alternate, and once we get clarification, then if he can serve as a former homeless liaison, that'd be great. Is that something possible we can do?
I can
I'm
get
amenable to
clarification on that for you.
It would be a great asset, basically. He would
Great
be
asset.
Yes.
Would that be fine?
That would be okay?
That works, so.
I'll check with the collaborative and we can get back with you.
So, the commission then would be appointing Mr. Perez, Commissioner Perez, and Mr. Fraser would be the alternate, and,
But I still think we need a vote, though. I mean, if Mr. Fraser has the votes and, he's elected, I'm going to support this. I think we still need a vote first,
Still discussion, so.
Yeah.
yeah. And then the question we're researching, right? Because the tenant commissioner from Anaheim is their only commissioner, right? From the city of Anaheim.
That's how it was last time, yes.
So did you follow that? So
No, yeah, I followed it. And that's why I was like, to me, you're actually kind of, killing the bird with one stone, where it's, so, and that's where, to me, if you really have an opportunity to have someone that was previously homeless to add to that, not necessarily, he also happens to be, so he's sitting for 2 spots. And I think this is an opportunity for saying, hey, we actually have a former homeless individual that also would love to be part of this process, instead of,
But that would also mean that Commissioner Fraser would replace you on the committee. You follow?
Is it, okay, I see what you're saying. It's either
it's
or.
not an additional, it's it's the commissioner from the city of Anaheim who was formerly homeless. But if they're not able to, Anaheim will still have a commissioner. They'll need a commissioner to represent their city on this collaborative.
Yeah. And if that happens, I respectfully will allow, that process to move forward. So I'm okay with that.
And just so I understand, so it sounds like three different roads that could be traveled down here. Road 1 is to call for a vote between Jim and myself, and where the chips fall, done. 2 would be to appoint Jim with me as a possible alternate contingent upon information that we get back from the committee as to whether that's allowable or not. If that's not allowable, another alternative would be to see that if I qualify and if that's a necessity to have a person who is representing previously displaced or homeless persons on the committee. Is that correct?
Yeah, you generally got it right. So going back, the commission should take a vote whether or not to appoint Jim, Commissioner Perez, or you. And assuming that Commissioner Perez is voted on, then the commission is aligning around amending this item where you would be an alternate to Jim on this collaborative, and then staff are going to inquire whether or not the City of Anaheim commissioner will be an individual who has experienced homelessness, and if not. Then we would bring that information to Jim's attention, and Jim would acquiesce his seat and give up his seat to you as our representative on the ESG collaborative.
I'll make that motion.
May I say something? Based on my experience in this commission, it is a lot of commitment. Jim, you already are going to be with us on the ad hoc. And you know how many applications we have to revise, and it takes a lot of time and thinking. So you may want to think about.
I take pride in my work. I take pride in what I do. I know what I bring to the table, and I wouldn't volunteer if I didn't feel that I had the time, the energy to do the work.
I have
So
a question to you.
I'm glad to hear that.
Did you want to be in the
I've been voicing my support for this commission, I think, since I got on this from day one. So I was adamant 2 meetings ago, last meeting, don't forget me. I'll be honest with you, I didn't run for any office here because I wanted to be on this commission. So I didn't run for chair, I didn't run for vice chair, and I know I had many members here that were ready to support me, but I did
You
not.
answered my question. Thank you, Commissioner Perez.
So Chair Santana, can I say something?
Yes, sir.
So I believe there's a motion on the table that I made.
You made the motion.
Per Judson's description.
And I
Do you
second
want to
that.
ask for a second on that, or?
I was just waiting for Ms. Aguinaldo's.
Yes, he was waiting for me.
Okay.
So it's gonna be Jim Perez and alternate Mr.
Can,
Perez.
We have to vote.
Clerk, please read the motion.
No, please accept.
You want me to, Bianca, do you want me to read it? Okay, so the commission, first you need to take a vote on the, which commissioner you're going to appoint. Okay, and then second, it'll be a motion to amend the item to have Commissioner Frazier as the alternate with direction to staff to research additional information.
Fantastic. So we have a motion for to appoint Mr. Jim Perez as commissioner to the Orange County Emergency Solution Grant Collaborative Committee for the fiscal year 2020-2021.
I make the motion.
No,
Take a
that's,
roll call vote on either Commissioner Perez or Commissioner Frazier.
because it's still between he and I, and then once that's decided, that decides what we do next.
So then we'll do a roll call vote, starting my right hand side. Ms. Aguinaldo, who do you
Perez.
nominate? Mr. Perez?
Perez. Frazier.
Right there.
Perez.
Perez.
Perez?
Mr. Frazier. Yeah. Got 2-5 with Mr. Perez in the majority, so add Mr. That means, so then we go for a.
So then I want to move and make a motion. My motion is Mr. Frazier be an alternative, and if the committee needs to have a formerly homeless individual, I will step down, and Mr. Frazier then will move that process forward.
Motion get a second. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. It's always been a tricky issue when it comes to our voting. I don't know if we can find a better way, but I know we've always struggled to vote.
Hey, it works.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you everyone for your votes. Comments, public comments. Does anyone in the public have any comments they wish to share with the commission? Please know that you have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, staff member comments. Does staff have any comments they wish to share to the commission?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of updates for the commission. First is that we've completed our recruitment for our residential construction specialist position. We've hired Maricela Marquez. She'll be coming and attending the next meeting to introduce herself to her to the commission, and that also means that we'll be restarting our single-family rehabilitation and mobile home rehabilitation programs. A couple updates on our multifamily housing projects. Our First Street Apartments project is nearly complete. It's at 98% complete. Just pending the release of their retention payment. They've actually already started housing and placing tenants in the project. For our Santa Ana Arts Collective project, that project continues to be off schedule. It is going to be completed in December. It's a project on 17th and Grand. For our Santa Ana Veterans Village project, that project is on schedule to be completed by February. For our Aqua Housing project, that project is 2% complete. They've completed the demolition and construction continues. For our Tiny Tim Plaza project, that project is 2% complete. It's continues on schedule. For our Francis Xavier project, they've completed securing all of their remaining financing to develop the project. They're going to be submitting for site plan review in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and then staff are going to be bringing forward their ground lease agreement and their Housing Successor Agency loan agreement that was approved by the commission for this project to City Council for approval. For our Habitat for Humanity project, the developer was pursuing an opportunity to build a third unit on the site at the corner of Lacey and Vance, and unfortunately they were not able to get approval from the French Park Neighborhood Association for that third unit, and therefore they are continuing with their original plans to develop 2 units, 2 homeownership units on that site. We are planning to bring forward their ground lease agreement, 99-year ground lease agreement, and a grant agreement for that project in the next 3 to 4 months. And for our North Harbor Village project, that's the 89-unit permanent supportive housing project with Jamboree. They submitted an application for round 1 of the multifamily housing program funds provided by HCD. Unfortunately, they are not going to be awarded those funds. They weren't competitive enough for those funds, and so they continue to work on securing their remaining sources of financing to develop that project. For our Legacy Square project, they also submitted an application for round 1 of those multifamily housing program funds. There's a slim possibility that they'll be awarded those funds. And if not, then they're going to reapply for the Affordable Housing and Sustainable Communities Grant Program, as well as the Infill Infrastructure Grant Program provided by the state. And then for our Crossroads at Washington project, we're currently working with the County of Orange on their ground lease agreement, as well as tenants in common / joint powers agreement to lease the land, our housing authority owned property that's adjacent to the county owned property, back to the developer to develop that project. They're intending to submit for 9% tax credits in February of next year, and are working to secure their remaining financing. Our first deadline for the RFP we issued for new affordable housing development closes on October 15th. Besides that, and just one other update regarding the eviction, regarding the $125,000 that was allocated by City Council through the annual budget on July 2nd. Staff are putting the finishing touches on a new program called Safely Home in Santa Ana that we are launching with the Catholic Charities and Salvation Army. We're going to be allocating $50,000 to each organization for an eviction prevention program. We have went through a very inclusive process to design the program framework with those 2 organizations and with stakeholders involved in working with families who are being evicted. And held a stakeholder meeting yesterday, and we are finalizing those agreements this week. In regards to the $25,000 that was a part of that $125,000 agreement, staff are still working on allocating those $25,000 for mobile home renters here in the homeowners and renters in the city. Besides that, no other major updates for us.
How are those funds? How are those funds used, Judson?
The which ones?
25 or
The 25,000.
The 50.
The 50,000 and you mean the 50,000 for Catholic Charities and the 50,000 to. So we've designed a program called Safely Home in Santa Ana. The eligibility criteria are restricted to families who earn no more than 50% of the area median income, so very low income families, and families who have been issued an eviction notice for non-payment of rent. Those families would be eligible for up to the fair market rent for their unit size. And then for families who are facing a financial crisis, that's defined in the program framework, they would be eligible for up to $1,500 in one-time assistance. And those funds and those are going to be administered by Salvation Army and Catholic Charities through the guidelines that we've created.
I have a question with that because I know for the 25,000 mobile home units, they're experiencing hardship. Is that correct, or
Yes.
is it different? Is it the same? Is there a one time or is it a monthly?
We haven't designed that program yet.
Because I've been here for the council meetings, and it seems that the tenants and the mobile home owners are still confused about how to apply and what are the parameters as far as qualification and what they are eligible to receive.
Yeah, for the manufactured housing educational trust program.
Right, and does
Yeah.
that go back to council, or who?
No, the council allocated the $25,000 to us to administer and to serve those mobile home renters. $25,000 is not very much money at all when you look
count
at
how
the
many
need.
mobile homes, parks we have in the city, the money's gonna go quick.
Yeah, so we did follow council direction to reach out to the MHET program that provides that kind of rental assistance to mobile homeowners. Not rental assistance, but that assistance to mobile homeowners who are facing rent increases. And they sent us a proposal. We're still evaluating their proposal, but we've been concentrating our efforts on launching the larger $100,000 eviction prevention program first.
Is there a memorandum or to avoid what do you call it, rent increase, moratorium? I'm sorry.
No, the council didn't.
Has not been passed.
No.
And I apologize, we're gonna have to stop the conversation at this point though, because that's not an agendized item, so
That's fine.
we can't go too far down. These are just updates.
Report back.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Then
Yeah.
we will
Thank you.
add it to our next
That's a good point.
commission
I
meeting.
just have one real quick question. The information, because when you touched on Vance and over in French Park with the two HUD houses, you mentioned that they were looking to see about having a third unit on that same property. At what point did that change? Because we've approved funding for them previously, have we not?
So after the commission approved the funding for that project, the developer, so Habitat for Humanity was trying to pursue an opportunity to build a third unit on that site. And they, in order to do that, they would need approval from the French Park Neighborhood Association, and the French Park Neighborhood Association was not in favor of that third unit.
Okay, so that delayed what they were doing, but they're back on track now?
Yes, it did. Yeah, it delayed it, but now they're back on track. Yes. Yeah.
Any comments, concerns from the commission? Ms. Aguinaga, Calderon? Well, for staff, if you have any questions or comments? No? Mr. Tardif? Yes.
No questions for staff.
Okay, I'm confused. Are we finished with staff member comments?
Yes.
Okay,
You
now we go on into commission member comments.
correct.
Okay, thank you. I just have one question, and that was for you, Jason. What happened with Gilberto Vasquez? The senior, the tenant,
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. I did send that information to our chair and vice chair, but I think looking back, I probably should have sent that to the entire commission. Commissioner Vasquez did resign from the commission as our senior tenant commissioner. It was due to specifically just due to personal reasons. No other reasons.
Give his permission, Jason, to ask, because he wants to come back, but yeah, it's something about the social security that he makes. They were questioning the money that he gets from the commission, which is nothing. I mean, it's $50 a month. So anyway, he's interested in being in the commission, but he's it's some kind of misinformation on the social security. So I don't know how to help him. That's my point.
So did he communicate to you after he resigned or before?
After today.
So today?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll reach back out to him, because if he's stating that issue has been resolved, then possibly we could look back on.
No, he's confused now it's all because it's some information from, not yet from it's from the Social Security office. So my question to you, Jason, you can help me. We have a hard time getting people to volunteer to be in
Right.
the commission, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a good guy. So he wants to be in the commission, but they told him that he can do it because he was getting the $50 a month. I don't think that's right.
Okay,
Yeah,
I do follow that. I do follow that. I'll follow up and see if we can assist him to get back on the commission.
Thank you.
Mr. Calderon?
I wanted to thank staff for tethering me back whenever I'm asking these questions, trying to define that gray area, because I know it's been a work in progress for the last couple of years. And I look forward to drilling down even further into it, because I really want to have a clear understanding of that. But I really appreciate you guys bearing with me on that. And congratulations to Mr. Perez. I look forward to definitely expanding my knowledge on the subject and kind of tootling under you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Frazier. Mrs. Sanchez?
I just want to congratulate new chairperson Richard Santana and vice chairperson Cecilia Aguinaga.
Thank you. Mr. Tardif?
I too would like to congratulate Chair Santana and Vice Chair Aguinaga. I'd like to thank the ad hoc committee members for their work. Done a lot of work. Good job. Thank Commissioner Perez for volunteering or nominating, being awarded the position of Orange County ESG Commission, and also congratulate Commissioner Frazier for possibly being able to be on that commission also. I'd like to thank the Commission for appointing me to the Historic Resources Commission as a rep from this commission. And I'd like to give a shout out to Santa Ana's Mater Dei High School football team, who are traveling to our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., to play St. John's High School as two top-rated teams in the nation. It should be a good game.
Thank you, Mr. Tardif. Mr. Perez?
Yeah, first and foremost, I just want to thank city staff for all the hard work and dedication. I know it was an honor and privilege to work side by side with you during the CDBG ad hoc, and Monica and Anna. And I know Anna's not here today as well, and she did a fabulous job and really asked some questions and really focusing on community engagement. So it was really an honor and privilege and so forth in that process. And again, city staff, thanks for always returning my phone calls or my emails as I'm new and learning the process. I know recently at our last city council meeting, there was some conversation about the eliminating of 2 mental health social workers for homeless. And my question is, with us funding some of our law enforcement, specifically, I believe it's our cult team that we fund. I know we were talking about getting a ride-along part of that process. And I know we brought it up at our last meeting, but either want to put it on the agenda item for next week for our next meeting. But I think that's going to be key and critical for those on the commission to actually do a ride along with that team and kind of see some of those processes. So I don't know my right chain of command of how to ask for that, but.
Thank you, Commissioner Perez. I would recommend reaching out directly to HAFSA regarding that request. That would be directly between you and her.
This is the third request, and I think we've asked our clerk to help reach out to the commissioners to accommodate schedule, and I know the HAFSA says she can only do 2 at a time. So we bring this up because this is a very important matter. As you can tell, homeless is a crisis and it's a humanitarian issue, and we're very much so interested in what I know the city's doing a lot and we're doing a lot, but we have been asking questions as regarding to the shelter, as well as the cult team, as well as ESG funding. And so I cannot stress enough that we would like answers so we can be fully informed of the decisions that we're taking, we're voting on up here in the dais.
So, yeah. I definitely, I do understand that, and we can relay that request to our homeless services manager. Now, our housing division, right, is and all of the grants under our housing division is under the purview of our commission, right? Our homeless services division, Hafsa is not. She's not one of my staff. She's a counterpart in our department, and so she reports to our executive director, Mr. Stephen Mendoza. She reports to city council, the city manager, to various constituents regarding all things relevant to homelessness. And so, you know, in terms of when you direct an item request to us that follow directly under my authority, we can respond immediately. But when you direct requests that are outside of our authority, and in a way outside of the purview of this commission, then that's something that we don't have any ability to respond to. If that makes sense.
It does, but again, it's kind of like we just wanted to see there's follow through, and I think we can reach out as a commission to Hafsa or talk to Mr. Stephen Mendoza, but it's still something that is important to us, and we'll continue advocating and asking for the requests that we've made in the past.
Yeah,
I don't want to skip over it. Ms. Garcia, do you have any questions, comments?
No, I just wanted to
Well, actually, wasn't done.
everybody that got their new positions today, so congrats and good luck.
Thanks, and back to you, Mr. Perez.
Yeah, I just had a couple other things. Our law enforcement officers that we fund through these funds, what monies do they come out of?
So a very small portion of the funding that of our ESG funds goes to the HEART team. I think the allocation for this fiscal year was $50,000.
Does that pay for overtime? Does that pay for a percentage of an officer?
And Terry can best respond to that. Reviews all their invoices.
Sorry.
No problem. The HEART team has one designated officer assigned to the COLT team. That is not overtime. Previously, ESG was used overtime, but that one individual goes out with the COLT team every day, and so the ESG funds are utilized for his salary. Then,
Beautiful.
Other officers that are doing things are funded by another pot of funds, but that's what ESG.
Excellent. So with that being said, I'm actually respectfully going to disagree when we talk about the preview of that homeless. Funds specifically directed from this commission is paying for a full-time law enforcement officer to be part of that COLT team. So I think, and the question Mr. Santana is really getting to is that for us to continue to do the job, not only to support city staff, but our residents, is that we need to be informed. And I think the issue is that as decisions are being made and we're moving that process forward, we need to make sure that we're being informed in that process. So I think it's more of a semantics as far as the preview. I think because we actually fund that full-time staff member that's on that call team, when we ask a request to actually go out, and I think the issue is that, I know it's been taking a while kind of coming back and forth, but we both are pretty lenient on our schedule, specifically to see that process. And since we've already been out to our shelter already, I think, you know, I don't know if we need to reach out directly to the chief, you know.
So I can help you get where you're trying to go, right?
Thank you.
You're the HEART team officers. We can schedule a time for you to shadow one of the HEART team officers when they're charging to our ESG program grant, and that would be
beautiful.
Something we'd be glad to schedule for you. $50,000 in a police officer's salary only goes to about 10 hours a week, maybe. not much, but.
Especially with their raises, but yes, I know.
But we can work with them to inquire when they're going to be charging to the ESG program.
I appreciate that.
And schedule you for a ride along during that.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. Thank you, Mr. Justin, for answering our questions. Can you give us, is there an invitation set for the grand opening of Mariposa Park? Are you aware?
Which park?
Mariposa Park?
I'm not familiar with that park.
Didn't we fund it's in Santa. It's a new park on Lacey.
Oh, Mariposa Park. I'm sorry. I thought you said Maya Rosa Park.
No,
Mariposa.
Mariposa.
Yeah, the new one. Yeah, as soon as we know the grand opening, we'll definitely share that with you. You guys were at the.
Can you extend the invitation to the fellow commissioners?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Great. And then I think we will be bringing more items to the agenda to look out for. I also want to congratulate all the commissioners who stepped up and is holding a position. I know that this board asks a lot of questions, and they're great questions. I want to thank city staff for the time and producing these reports. With that being said, this meeting is adjourned. Our next regular meeting will be scheduled for October 24th at 4:30 p.m. Thank you.